Hey, folks. Yes, we're on. We're ready. Hey, folks. Dr. Joe here. Always got to check on my producer. She pushes buttons and I don't see what's going on there. I am glad that you're here. I am Dr. Joe Esposito. First time joining us. Welcome. If you're a regular, you know the rules. But let me tell the rules for the new folks. What we do is we do two 24-minute segments. And if you have any questions, you can type them in whatever platform you're on. And my producer, Allison, will then read me the questions at the 24-minute break. I'll answer them for you, any health questions. Then we take another 24-minute segment where I talk, and then we answer some more questions. So real simple. If you're new to the show, you'll kind of see what everybody else is doing. It's really easy, real simple. So we are ready to rock whenever you are, Miss Allison. Ready? Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. I am glad you're with us. Today, talk about, just broke my pen. We talk about belly fat. How many people have belly fat? Raise your hands. How many people want to get rid of belly fat? All of you. So it's a big question, actually. I get this question a lot. I say, Dr. Joe, I got this little pooch. Sometimes it's a big pooch. And people want to know what to do about it, how to get rid of it. And so today we're going to talk about those secrets. What causes it, why it's so bad, and then what to do about it. So let's start with why it's so bad. If you got it just in your abdomen, like the beer belly as we call it, that's called visceral fat. And what happens is fat is building up around your colon, around your organs. That's really bad because it prevents the organs from being able to perform at 100%. So when that occurs, not only are you fat, and I used to be fat, so I can say the F word, not only are you fat, you're actually having an adverse effect on your physiology. Physiology is how things work. So things can't work because of the belly fat. Really serious condition. If you have fat in your thighs, fat in your arms, that's bad, but it doesn't actually impact the function of the organs. So that's why we got to be really careful with the belly fat. And don't just say, oh, look at my beer belly, look how fat I am, ha, ha, ha. No, you're actually adversely affecting your function and your life. So a couple of things I want you to consider. And it was interesting. I saw a picture the other day, and it was on social media. And it was a picture, I think it was like the Jersey Boardwalk. And I used to go down the New Jersey Boardwalk every weekend during the summer for 4 or 5 years. I had a van. Yes, I did. And had a mural on the side and mag wheels and wooden bumpers and fur interior and had a bed in the back. And my friend Kevin and I would go down the shore and we'd walk along the boardwalk and go to the bars and everything. And then we'd sleep in the van, which was very illegal and very uncomfortable, by the way, too. Two, large 200-some-pound men after walking around in a sweaty Jersey night, and we'd sleep in the van. It really stunk, too. But anyway, I digress. There was a picture, and it had a picture of the boardwalk, and everybody was pretty thin. And I remember in high school, we had maybe 2 people that were overweight. Everybody else was nice builds on the men and the women. And that's not that way anymore. Times have changed a lot, and people have gotten pretty heavy. And a lot of it has to do with our society, and a lot of it has to do with the food that we're exposed to. I was talking to a patient the other day, and I said, do you remember when we were young how small the grocery stores were? And how big they are now? What are they selling? What's different? The basics are still there, the fruits, the vegetables, and things like that, breads, milk, eggs, butter. Not that I agree with that. But there's so much processed food now. And processed food actually affects your metabolism. Also, and I'm guilty of this too, we sit down with our phones and we scroll. And as we're scrolling, we're eating. So we're not paying attention to what we eat. When I was a kid, you read the cereal box over and over and over again. So we're not paying attention to what we eat, so we have a tendency to not have mindful eating. And when we do, we don't chew our food properly, so thus we're not absorbing nutrients properly, and so our body craves more. Also, the food today, when I was young, we didn't have this. The food today has chemicals in it that stimulate your appetite. There's a whole branch of science called food science. And food science, a lot of it is teaching you how to get people to eat more of the food. So we know that the perfect combination of food is carbohydrates, salt, and fat. When you put all 3 of those together, it's pretty cool. And that's called like a potato chip or a chip. Now, if you eat chips, you can't stop eating. I went for a Mexican restaurant the other day with a friend of mine, and I was very careful not to have any chips. Because if I have one, I want more. So I knew I had to say I can't do that. I have to just stop and not eat any. And it was fine. And I survived, and I enjoyed my meal, and it was great. So you got to realize that if we're distracted while we're eating, we're not going to focus on what we're eating. And I am guilty of this, and I wish I wasn't, but I try not to. So it's something I work on. You probably should work on too. If you eat too fast, it takes 20 minutes to get the message from your stomach to your brain. So if you eat a lot of food in 20 minutes, that's probably too much food. So what happens is your stomach releases a hormone, essentially, called leptin. And leptin is released from the stomach. It goes into the blood system, goes up into the brain, into a place called the hypothalamus. And the hypothalamus says, okay, that's enough food. I got enough leptin. We can stop eating. You're full. Well, a couple of things happen. One is you eat too fast. And you don't have enough time to get the leptin into the blood system, up into the hypothalamus, and so you eat too much. Number two, and this is very common among fat people, and I used to be fat, so I'm talking from experience. The stomach produces so much leptin that it bombards the hypothalamus day after day after day. So the hypothalamus says, I don't believe you. It's the boy that cried wolf. I don't believe that you're full, or I don't believe this whole leptin thing, because you can't have that much leptin. Come on. So the brain kind of ignores the leptin. It becomes leptin resistant. It resists the leptin, and so now it doesn't send a message that you're full. Now, when I get like this, I know my stomach is pushed up against my diaphragm. Now, I've never seen any research on this, and I'm a researcher. I've never seen any research on this, but this is what happens to me and countless other patients that they tell me their story. If your stomach is pushed up against your diaphragm, I'm guessing you're just not producing leptin properly. So if my stomach is up against my diaphragm, I could eat a lot of food, and my stomach could actually hurt. I feel full, but I want to keep eating. Anybody else have that aside from me? When that occurs, I've learned that I need to get my stomach adjusted. And what a stomach adjustment is, my doctors can take the stomach and gently pull it down away from the diaphragm, and then I'm able to digest my food better. And then I feel full, almost instantly. Like I could be so full and I just want to keep eating. I'll get my stomach adjusted, and almost instantly I'm satisfied. Maybe satisfied is the right word. So if you're eating too fast, you have this condition, you don't give the body the time to go through the physiological effects that are supposed to happen when you eat food, leptin going into the hypothalamus, and you're good. If you don't go through that process, you just want to keep eating. Now, if you eat too much fructose or high fructose corn syrup, that's the main source of fructose. Fructose actually shuts down, high fructose corn syrup shuts down leptin production. That's the hormone that makes you feel full. But it stimulates a hormone called ghrelin. Now, ghrelin is produced further down in your digestive system, in your colon, and small intestine, actually. I think it's small intestine. Anyway, it's produced further down in your digestive system, and ghrelin goes into your hypothalamus and says, I'm hungry. Feed me. So leptin shuts down your hunger. Ghrelin stimulates your hunger. Well, fructose and high fructose corn syrup, what it does is it shuts down the leptin somewhat, and it stimulates the ghrelin. Just writing something down here because I want to talk about it later. There, okay. So what happens then is when you eat high fructose corn syrup, you actually get hungrier, and you want to eat more. Now, when I was a kid anyway, we didn't have high fructose corn syrup. So we ate, we felt full, and we stopped. High fructose corn syrup, which is in thousands and thousands of products, actually makes you want to eat more. Now, if I'm a food manufacturer and I'm making, I don't know, cookies, I want you to buy more of my cookies. I want you to eat more of my cookies. I want you to buy more again. So if I put chemicals, certain like additives, or chemicals like high fructose corn syrup in there, you're going to eat more of my cookies. I make more money. It's a good deal. We learned that fried carbohydrates with salt and oil, people eat more of them. Chips. Pretty simple. And so if I'm going to sell these chips, and then many times I'll even add monosodium glutamate to the chips, and monosodium glutamate stimulates your hunger as well. Wow. So now you're looking at food as a lot more than just a tasty treat. You're looking at the science that goes into it. There's a really good series. It's on, I think it's Discovery Channel, History Channel. It's called The Food That Made America. And they have the men that made America, the cars that made America. One of the series is The Food That Made America. And it's really interesting to watch how these companies, soda companies, cookie companies, cracker companies, snack companies came into existence, and how it was sometimes a bloodbath fighting for position in the market. And then they haven't gotten to later on, when things like high fructose corn syrup, monosodium glutamate, these things were added to the foods. They're just talking about originally when cookies were made and crackers. So what you're eating has an impact on your brain. So the problem is not in your stomach, it's in your brain. But if you keep eating things like high fructose corn syrup, you start to develop that belly fat. And you say, yeah, I don't eat a lot. It's not just what you eat, it's how you eat, timing, and it's also what's in the ingredients. So 100 calories of high fructose corn syrup is different than 100 calories of carrots because of the compounds that are in there. So the takeaway from this part is I want you to stay away from high fructose corn syrup and monosodium glutamate. The challenge with monosodium glutamate is this, because it stimulates your umami taste buds, makes food taste better, so you want to eat more of it. Monosodium glutamate has over 40 different names: autolyzed yeast, hydrolyzed vegetable protein, broth, natural flavorings. Not all natural flavorings are monosodium glutamate, but monosodium glutamate can oftentimes be listed as natural flavorings. So you just got to be careful of learning how to read labels. So the easiest thing to do with labels is if it has ingredients you can't pronounce, don't eat it. It's just that simple. Monosodium glutamate, artificial sweeteners, stay away from. Artificial sweeteners, another reason why you're getting fat. What? 0 calories. How can I get fat from artificial sweeteners? Artificial sweeteners, the body says, ooh, there's something sweet coming, I'm going to produce insulin. So the body produces insulin, and the insulin says, I got no sugar to get into the cells, because insulin opens up the cells and lets sugar in. So what happens then is the body starts craving sugars. Every study I've read says that the more artificial sweetener you use, the fatter you get in most cases. So why would you do that? Yeah, but it's 0 calories, Dr. Joe. I was taught 0 calories means I'm going to lose weight. No, that's not true. And I worry about anything that has 0 calories. I think like celery even has calories. So if something has 0 calories, it's pretty much chemical, from what I can see, unless water. So just be careful about what you're putting in your body, because it's not just what you eat, it's how you eat, it's the chemicals that are in the food, and you're really messing with Mother Nature. And so this is why in our current day, we have a lot more overweight people than we had when I was in high school. We had two boys, I remember, and 2 girls. Yeah, I remember them. Now, it's crazy. So be careful. Another thing, and I just read a good article on this today, as a matter of fact, this morning. I saw a video on it, of getting poor sleep. Studies, adults under 40 who slept less than 5 hours a night gained more belly fat than those who got more, like 6 to 8 hours of sleep a night. If you're sleep deprived, don't go overboard to try to correct it. Sleeping more than 8 hours can have the same gut-building effect as not sleeping enough. Sleeping too much can put weight on you as well. So, like many things when it comes to health, you want to be in the Goldilocks zone. Goldilocks zone is not too much, not too little, exactly where you want to be. So that's the challenge, is get there. And so sleep right around 6-8 hours max is where you want to be. Now, if you're a teenager, you're sick, you're a baby, that's different. But for adults, 6 to 8 hours max you're shooting for. Under 5, not a good idea. And again, you can catch up for sleep short term, maybe once or twice periodically, but you can't do it on a regular basis. I know, being in the media, of course, I knew a lot of people in media, and many times they work the overnight shift. They wake up at 2, they're on the air at 4, and they go home at 9 or something like that. Well, many times those people have trouble losing weight. They have metabolic issues. They have relationship issues too, because you're tired all the time. So poor sleep can be a big issue. Now, if you have poor sleep and don't know what to do about it, go to my website, drjoe.com, and type sleep in the search bar. And we did a show a while ago on sleep and how to get the best sleep. Many times, people have trouble sleeping and gain weight because they're in pain. Now, if you're in pain, you're not sleeping well. If you're not sleeping well, you get hungry, you eat more, trying to stay awake, and so that's an issue. But pain, many times, is something that you can manage. Now, I'm the only chiropractor in the whole state, as far as I know, board certified in pain management. I'm also board certified in non-surgical orthopedics. I'm board certified in chiropractic. I'm double board certified in nutrition and certified in traumatic brain injuries and a bunch of other stuff. But as a pain management expert, we've come up, my team and I have many, many techniques to naturally control pain without drugs and surgery. And not just control it, but get to the cause of the pain, not just treat the symptoms. That's a big difference. And if I have pain, I want to cover it up right away. I want to treat the symptoms. But I also want to then long-term get to the cause. And that's different from a lot of other clinics. Not saying they're wrong, but we try to get to the cause of the problem, not just treat the symptoms. So if you have a health issue, if you have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, headaches, numbness, tingling, you've ever been in a car accident, sciatic pain, muscle weakness, come see us. Most of the time, you're suffering needlessly. There's no need for the suffering that you're going through. And when you finally start getting under our care, you say, why didn't I do this sooner? Why did I suffer for so long? My answer is, I don't know. I have no idea why. But many times we have the answer for you. So if you want to make an appointment, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb. That's the Atlanta area. Go to my website, drjoe.com. We'd love to see you as a patient. If you're not in the Atlanta area, we could always do consultations over the phone. We could do phone or Zoom or Skype. And we can do nutrition consultations and other health consultations as well. So if you want to make an appointment, go to our website, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. You can book it right online if you want to. Now, normally the first visit in person, if you come see us, is $912. That's an exam, x-rays, consultation, first treatment, going over the x-rays on your follow-up visit, and a complete nutrition evaluation. For my listeners, we've reduced that to $299. Exam, x-rays, consultation, first treatment, going over the x-rays, nutrition evaluation. If you just want to do nutrition, that's $200, and we can do that over Skype or something like that in case you're not in the area. So we'd love to be your doctors, is the bottom line. We'd love to put together a personalized plan just for you. So drjoe.com, we'd love to see you. Let's continue on. We're talking today about what causes belly fat. Eating late. This is going to take some discipline on your part. I want you to eat 12 hours a day and not eat for 12 hours a day. So if you have dinner at 5 o'clock at night, don't eat breakfast till 5 o'clock in the morning. Give yourself at least 12 hours for your body to rest, to heal, to break down, to detoxify, and it's a great way to lose weight. If you do nothing else, and just this, chances are you're going to be happy with the results. You'll see something. You're not going to get all the results, but something. So it's called intermittent fasting, and you just fast for 12 hours. It's pretty simple. Now, you may have to change your habits. You may have dinner and then a couple hours later have ice cream or cookies or cakes or, I don't know, popcorn, and you got to stop that. When you're done with dinner, you're done. What I do, my personal trick is I brush my teeth. After dinner, I brush and floss, and then I won't eat again because I'm too lazy to brush and floss again. So it's like a little trick I play. But now what I've done is I've trained my brain to know that once I brush and floss, you ain't getting no more food. It's done. And so then I'm able to maybe be a little hungry, but I'm able to just avoid the food. So give yourself at least 12 hours. So don't eat too late, because what happens is the calories you eat when you wake up, whatever your morning is, when you wake up, those calories, that food is going to be burned up about 30% more efficiently than the food you eat at night. So think about that. Breakfast food is going to be burned up more efficiently than night food. So at night, eat light. Salads, quinoa, that's a grain, vegetables. But don't be sitting down to steak and potato dinner. That's so insane. And it's so bad for you on many, many levels, including the fact it's just not a good time to eat. And you're going to burn off a lot more calories in the morning than you are at night. So if you're going to eat something heavier, eat it in the morning. You want to avoid breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, and pastas, especially refined grains, because they're processed food. They're stripped of their fiber. So if you look at a kernel of wheat, it has fiber on the outside, bran. It has something called the endosperm, which is essentially sugar. That's what you're eating, the white flour. And then it has the germ. And the germ is where the nutrients are. The vitamin E and other nutrients are stored. So in order for wheat to have a longer shelf life, we take off the bran, we cut out the germ, and what's left is the endosperm. That's essentially eating sugar. So if you're eating breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas, white flour, you're just eating sugar. Well, it's whole grain. No, it has to have all the fiber in it. Now, I don't recommend you eat wheat anyway, because wheat can cause a lot. It's the second most hyperallergenic food there is. Dairy's number one, wheat's number two. So that can cause a lot of bloating and inflammation. So you might think you have belly fat. It's not all fat. It's just a lot of bloating and gas. So by cutting out the foods that cause that, wheat and dairy especially, many times the stomach starts to flatten out. So we're talking today about belly fat. Talking about bloating. Many times the stomach, when it pushes up against the diaphragm, causes food to pass from the stomach into the small intestine partially digested. And when it does that, it rots. Put it simple. The food rots and it causes your stomach to blow up and get all bloated. So I have adjusted thousands and thousands of people with stomach issues. And when we pull the stomach away from the diaphragm, the food now is able to digest properly in the stomach, goes into the small intestine where it doesn't rot, and a lot less bloating and gas happens, and the stomach flattens out. And so if you have digestive issues, you want to come see us and let us check your stomach. Is it in the right place? If it's not, let's pull it back down. It's not a one and done. It's not you come in one time and it's fixed. It usually takes several times, just like going to the gym and work it out. It takes time to see the results. But usually after 1 or 2 visits, people say, oh my gosh, I feel so much better, Dr. Joe. What'd you do to my stomach? I feel that it should be part of every exam ever done on any patient for any reason whatsoever, unless they're bleeding to death and you have to do surgery first. Then after that, let's check their spine because the nervous system controls everything. If you have pinched nerves, fix it. 90% of your nerves don't feel pain. You can have a pinched nerve and not know it. So my team is trained to check the nerves that don't feel pain as well. So I feel every exam, I don't care if you're going for a gynecology exam, you're going for a dental exam, you should check the nervous system, you should check the digestive system, and you should look at their diet. Now, dentist isn't going to do that. Gynecologist isn't going to do that. I know that. We do it on every single patient. You have to have that core, that base of health in order for anything else to work the best it can. So whether you're having surgery or you're having physical therapy or you're having injections, get the nervous system, digestive system, and diet straightened out. What usually happens is when you get those 3 things straightened out, you can forego a lot of other treatments. That's pretty cool, isn't it? And so you got to understand how the system works. If you go into a doc in a box, you walk in these walk-in clinics, they're usually run by hospitals. Well, why is that? Well, once you go in, they say, okay, you need to go see this doctor at X hospital, and then you need to go see that doctor at X hospital again. And so it's a referral source. It's a referral network. I mean, yeah, it's a moneymaker too for the hospitals, but it's a referral source. And I don't know of any of them that are doing. Now, I'm not saying the hospitals are wrong, and I've been to hospitals before, and I think they do great work, many of them. But you got to get the nervous system, digestive system, and diet straightened out as a core, as a base for everything else to work. So if you want to become a patient, drjoe.com. We'd love to see you. We talked about diet sodas earlier. Aspartame, which is artificial sweetener in a lot of diet drinks, increases belly fat. So you're sipping down diet sodas, and aspartame is the most popular sweetener. There's also sucralose. Sucralose it acts like a estrogen. It stimulates your estrogen receptor sites. So your body acts like it has estrogen. Estrogen causes you to lay down fat. Fat produces estrogen. Estrogen causes you to lay down fat. So you kind of, as Elvis Presley said, caught in a trap. And for men, if you have belly fat, and we produce testosterone, and so do women, but the testosterone goes into fat cells and comes out as estrogen. So you go in with a muscle-building energy hormone coming out as a fat-producing hormone. The estrogen is changed in the fat cell. So fat is not more than just unsightly. It's actually very dangerous. Puts pressure on your organs, changes your testosterone into estrogen. And if you're doing things like drinking diet sodas, it's a problem. Now, I know a lot of people. One of my friends and patients, Donna, for example, was addicted to diet soda. She said, I woke up every day, and all I thought about was diet soda, diet soda, diet soda. Where am I going to get my next one? How am I going to get it? When am I going to drink it? Do I have enough in the house? Do I need to buy more? Oh, it's on sale. Stock up. It took her quite a while to break her habit, but once she did, she said what every other patient says, I have freedom now. Folks, got to go to a break. If you have any healthcare questions, we've got a lot more to cover. We're talking about where does belly fat come from and what to do about it. Any health questions at all, you can go through my website, drjoe.com, and send me questions through the website. I'm happy to answer them for you. Please follow us on social media at Dr. Joe Esposito, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. We post every single day. You're going to learn so much information, little tiny bites, just by following us on social media. If you're a podcast junkie, go to your podcast service and type in Dr. Joe for the health of it. Dr. Joe for the health of it. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of podcasts. And on the website, search the search bar what you're looking for. Chances are we've done a podcast, a blog, an article on it. And so a lot of information's on the website. And all the supplements we talk about are also available on the website, drjoe.com. All right. Part 1 done with a broken pen. You have questions?
Yeah, so someone was wondering, how do you know if you have excess estrogen?
We can do a test. We do a test at our office called a Dutch test, the UTCH. And a Dutch test tests all your hormones, testosterone, estrogen, estradiol, the other androgenic or the male hormones. They test the female hormones. And it's not just testing if you have too much. It's testing, is your body processing it properly? Is the liver breaking it down? Is it being passed out properly? So that's why general hormone tests many times don't get you the results you want, because it's not deep enough. The Dutch test goes really deep to find out where the problem is along the line, if you will. So you can go to our website, drjoe.com. I think it's under lab tests. Or you can call us and we'll get you, we can send you the kit if we need to. You can come pick it up and we'll do the Dutch test. And it's complicated when you look at it, but I can analyze it for you and tell you what to do. So good question, though. Other questions?
So another person was wondering, what is the number one cause of a bad digestive system?
Number one cause of a bad digestion? Well, probably your diet. But many times it's physical. The stomach is up against the diaphragm. There's a valve called the ileocecal valve between your small and large intestine. Sometimes that gets stuck open, stuck closed. So diet, if you had to give me one thing, it would be your diet. And that's the one thing you have 100% control over. Unless you're in prison. And even in prison. I remember years ago, one of my followers sent me a letter from prison saying, Dr. Joe, I want to eat a plant-based diet, and I need a letter from a doctor. So I had his doctor write it because I didn't know the case, but I said, reach out to your doctor, have him write it. He did, and he got a plant-based diet. So, yeah, it's pretty much, unless you're on a desert island, you can pretty much have a plant-based diet any way you want to go. So you have control over that. What else?
That's all.
Okay. Hang on, folks. I got another pen because I broke this one. So here's a piece of it here, piece of it here. So hold on 1 second. Do we have another pen, Allison? I could run and go get one. I'll get one. Entertain the troops, Allison. Tell them a story. All right, guys. Got my pen. Just in case I have an incredibly brilliant thought while I'm talking, I got to write it down. All right, we are ready to go to part 2. Ready? Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. If you're just joining us, welcome. If you stayed with us, thank you. I do appreciate that. What we're talking about today is what causes belly fat. Everybody wants to know that, right? Everybody like their belly just a little flatter. And so we covered a lot in part 1. We're going to part 2 now. One of the things that can happen is if you skip meals all the time. If you opt out of meals, not if you're intermittent fasting. If you do it intentionally, that's the goal. Is okay. I'm going to, skip breakfast or skip dinner. That's great. But when you're hungry and you're just busy and you skip lunch and then you start eating a big dinner, that's where the problem comes in. So usually the middle of the day meal is the challenge. But if you're intermittent fasting, you can go 12 hours minimum. Going, if you have dinner at 5 o'clock at night, don't have breakfast till 5 o'clock in the morning. That gives your body a great chance to heal and detoxify. If you go longer, better still. But it's got to be intentional. I know that sounds silly. What's the difference? Because otherwise you'll say, oh my gosh, I'm starving. I got to eat something crazy, and you grab something fast. I just was talking to a new patient who was a truck driver the other day. And he's my age. And he has all sorts of romantic issues, high blood pressure, cholesterol issues, overweight. He says, I'm a truck driver, doc. I can't eat good. I said, yes, you can. I said, you're on the road, right? I said, how about you go and get a burrito bowl as opposed to a steak dinner? And get it without a wrap. Get beans, maybe a little bit of rice, guacamole, lettuce, tomatoes. Oh, I could do that. How about salad bars? There's a place called Jason's Deli. They got a salad bar all over the country. Saluda is another one here in Atlanta. That's another salad bar. Ruby Tuesdays, I know they have salad bars. Oh, yeah, I never thought about that. Okay, I could do that. And so I kind of went down a list of things that he can do, and he went, oh, now I understand it. I always thought that I just had to eat fast food because I was on a truck all the time. So now once you start changing your diet and taking supplements, I told him the minimum supplements, everybody, by the way, everybody should take this, not just him, Super Greens and Essential Source. They're 2 powders, mix them together. They taste great. If you want to change the flavor, add a half a frozen banana. And, it tastes fine. But I said, if nothing else, just take it and chug it. Get this in your system. Coconut milk, almond milk, water if you want to. I don't like it with water so much. But chug it if you have to. Just get it in your system every day. Eventually, you'll learn to like it. It tastes great anyway. But you can add a frozen banana, frozen berries, whip it up if you want to. I recommend nitric oxide for him, too, because he has high blood pressure and he also has circulation issues when it comes to romance. And so nitric oxide was one I recommended for him, omega-3 fatty acids for brain function. Because I said to him, I said, listen, you're a truck driver. I want to keep you awake. I don't want you falling asleep. He says, Doc, if I could stay awake my whole day, he says, I'd be thrilled. So changing the diet, eating the good foods, getting the right supplements, and of course with him chiropractic care, his whole life is going to change. I know this because I've seen him thousands of times before. And chances are I've seen you, metaphorically speaking, thousands of times before. 38 years, I've seen a lot of patients. And we're busy, so it's not like we sit around and do nothing all day. So many cases we get amazing results and people have no idea that this even existed, much less the amazing results they would get if they came to see us. So we'd love to see you. But skipping meals, again, if you're going to do it on intermittent fasting, that's fine. But just don't willy-nilly skip a meal and then get crazy and eat too much. That's the big problem there. One of the things, we talked about diet sodas put on fat, but how about low-fat and fat-free food? Wait a minute. Low-fat and fat-free food, that should make me lose weight. It's good to watch your fat intake. I don't think you should use processed fats. So oils, even olive oils, even, avocado oil, of course, not soy, corn, canola. Those are really, really bad. They're high in omega-6 fatty acids, increase inflammation. They're many times genetically modified. But if you go to these processed foods that are fat-free, they're high-carb foods. That raises your triglycerides, which increases your insulin sensitivity, and that increases your fat cells. So we talked about breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas, cookies. Stay away from these things because the sugar gets into the body, and the body says, I have a lot of sugar in the blood. I got to release insulin. Insulin is released from the pancreas and goes into the cells and opens up the cells like a key. It just kind of pops the cell open, and sugar can get in. That's how sugar gets into the cells. Well, once the sugar cells are all filled up, let's say, the body takes that sugar that you just ate and stores it as something called glycogen. Glycogen is the stored energy. It's stored calories, let's say. And it's in the muscles, it's in the liver. And so what happens is I use up all the sugar in my blood. My brain says, well, I need some more sugar as fuel. I'm going to turn to the glycogen reserve tank. And it taps into the critical reserve, and it releases glycogen, and then we use that as fuel. Once all the glycogen stores are filled up, and you keep eating breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas, cookies, things like this, the body says, what are we going to do with all the sugar? So the cells are filled up, the glycogen stores are filled up, the body converts that into triglycerides. You may have heard that term. You got your blood test and your triglycerides were high. That's from eating too much sugar. Triglycerides have to be stored somewhere. Where do we store triglycerides? Your abdominal fat. So the breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas, processed foods, white rices, these are the things that get stored as fat. And you're thinking you're eating right. But when you actually look at it, you go, wow, I did have that cookie. I did have that piece of bread. I did have that bowl of cereal. All that is, glucose, glycogen, triglycerides, fat. And you're just storing this fat in your belly. So even when you think you're doing good, if your triglycerides are high, that's nature's way of telling you you're not. And so you got to go to more unprocessed foods. So that would be salads, that would be beans, that would be lentils, split pea soup. Lentil soup is great. I make a lot of soup, and I freeze it. And whenever I'm done with one jar, I'll take one out of the freezer, I'll defrost it in a day or two, and then I'll eat that as well. But so easy, so quick, so inexpensive, loaded with fiber. It's just great stuff. Now, something we did recently, and it was really a lot of fun, and if you're serious, you're really, really serious about wanting to get rid of that belly fat, you want to do this. It's a 21-day detox. It's on the website, drjoe.com. Just type in 21-day, and it'll bring it up. And what you do is you take fiber supplements, you take other supplements, green products, men's to keep testosterone from converting to estrogen. It's I don't have time to explain it all because I only have one show here today. But the 21-day detox is crazy because it's very easy to do because you're eating lots of food. You're just eating, they have menus in there. And even if you're a meat eater, which I'm not, they have meat eaters and they have meat products in there you could eat. But you're taking the supplements every day. You're taking a protein shake every day because protein takes a lot of energy to burn. And so you feel good about it. So you don't have to take a protein powder. If you do take a protein powder, make sure it's plant-based. Don't use whey, don't use milk. Those things are not good. Plant-based, organic if you can do it, protein powder. because it takes a lot of energy to convert that protein, to break it down and then convert it into usable form. And so the 21-day cleanse is just great. We did it for 4 weeks. We did it for 3 weeks and then a week afterwards for coaching. We did it online. Everyone who took the class, everyone, 100%, all said the same thing. I now have control over my own life. I don't have those cravings that I used to have. And every one of them said they can look at a box of cookies and just pass on it. They have ice cream in their freezer, it's going bad. So all the junk foods that you used to think, oh, I'm just going to have a little bite, I'm just going to have a little bit. No. So we reset their brains. I've done it. Reset my brain. We reset the brain so that you're not craving those foods. And then you can actually have long-term effects. Because if you go on a diet is short-term. I'm going to do this until I lose the weight. And then what do? You go right back to what it used to be. Why? Because the brain was never reset. So it's really kind of cool. It changes your cravings, and that's what I'm saying. The brain resets. It changes the cravings. So if you want to do it, just go to my website, drjoe.com. Just type in 21-day and look at it. If you have any questions, you can always call our office. We'll explain it to you. But the neat part is, too, that the money you spend on that, you're going to save way more than that on your food choices for the next 3 weeks. So people say, Doc, I made money by doing this. I saved money and made money by doing this, and I lost weight, and I felt great, and it reset my brain, and now I can continue on my life eating the right foods. And even if you're vegan, I'm vegan, but even vegans, they're unhealthy vegans. You could be eating, cookies with cream in the middle. You could be eating breads and donuts, and even a certain young girl group who sells cookies put out vegan cookies this year, and even gluten-free cookies. And so the trend is there. I mean, when you see people selling cookies that traditionally would never sell vegan and gluten-free cookies that are, people want to get healthy. They're desperate for it. That's why this show is so popular. People are desperate for information, and they don't know where to turn. And I don't know if anywhere else in the world you're going to get it put like this. So easy, so simple. So stay away from fat-free foods. Do the 21-day cleanse if you really want to. It's great. I can personally vouch for it. It's amazing how it changes your life. If you smoking can lead to belly fat. The more you light up, the more fat you store in your stomach as opposed to your hips and your thighs. So smoking can cause belly fat as well, that little beer belly. If you eat on a big plate, I remember reading this years ago and thinking, it's a bunch of bunk. If you put your food on a smaller plate and use even smaller utensils, I like big utensils, it tricks your brain to thinking you've had enough. I had a bowl of whatever, as opposed to I had this big bowl of whatever. Either way, your body wants to finish food. I grew up really poor, extremely poor. My father was disabled. My mother had to stay home and take care of me. My father was deaf. She had to take care of my father and my sister. So we grew up really poor. So we didn't know any better. I didn't know how to go to a restaurant really until I was much older. I didn't know a lot of things until I was much older because we were very isolated. My father being deaf, there wasn't a lot of socializing back then. We stayed within the family. My father came from a big family. And so we didn't socialize a whole lot. And when I started going out to restaurants, I noticed how big the plates were. And I thought, wow, why is the plate so big? So then I would eat my whole plate. And I still have ingrained in me never leave anything. Because we were poor. You always had to finish your plate. And that's not a good habit to teach your kids. Because as I get older, the food got more toxic, more high fructose corn syrup, more processed oils, larger plates, larger portions. And I still have had and still have in my brain, finish your plate. Kids are starving in China. But I remember, I think back now on those days and thinking, at the time, it was probably okay to do because we didn't have a lot of food. But now, we have plenty of food. So just think about that. A smaller plate, you're going to say, I had one plate of food, I'm done. As opposed to a big plate, I still had one plate of food, I'm done. You have to keep moving to get rid of belly fat. And this is a real challenge for me, for everyone, I guess. I don't know, some of you maybe not. But if I get in my office and I start working on, researching and, preparing radio shows, I sit for a lot. And that's not good. So what I want you to do is I want you to set your timer on your computer or your phone, your watch, whatever it is, every 30 minutes, or every hour. Let's do every hour. And every hour I want you to get up, and I want you to do what's called a cross crawl. And what a cross crawl is, you bring your right elbow to your left and bring your left knee up and touch your right elbow, and do your right knee up and touch your left elbow. And I want you to do that 30 times. It's going to take you about 10 or 15 seconds. That's all I got. 15 seconds an hour. Watch what happens. Because not only are you exercising, but you're twisting your colon. And when you twist the colon, you're kind of squeezing it a little bit. When you squeeze it, it's able to eliminate a lot better. And so it's a neat little trick to help the brain work better, help you get exercise, oxygenate your body, and it can also actually physically get the colon moving. And it squeezes that belly fat. So do that cross crawl every hour. Do it 30, 60, 90, 100. I don't care how many times you do it, but just get up and do it. I think you'll be very, very pleased with the results. And if you're stressed out, many times this is the cause of fat. Because when you're under stress, your body produces a hormone called cortisol. Now, cortisol is produced by the adrenal glands. It gets into the blood, and it causes you to store fat. Because cortisol is a stress hormone. So in a perfect world, and funny, I just had a patient come in the other day who followed our advice, and I did a Dutch test on him, which is a test we do for hormones. And their cortisol level was spectacular. I'd never seen such a perfect cortisol level. It started spiking in about 5 o'clock in the morning. It spiked in the morning, and then throughout the day it dropped down, and by night it was low, and they were ready to go to sleep. So cortisol gives you energy. And so if your cortisol level is high all day, years ago I did my cortisol, mine was high all day. So it was my warning sign. I had to step up my game, and I did. My cortisol level dropped, which was great. But cortisol causes you to lay down fat because the body says, I'm under attack. There's something urgent going on. I don't know when I'm going to have food again. I better store this. When you eat regularly, when you're not stressed, the body says, I don't really have to store fat. I'm good. I'm going to pass it all out. So once again, it's not just the calories you eat, it's how your body processes those calories. So if you're stressed out, you can get belly fat. Now, there are things you can do to relax. You can do meditation. You can do yoga. One of the things that works really well is chiropractic care. Because a lot of times your stress is physical. The bones are out of place. They're pinching nerves. It hurts. It's blocking off cerebrospinal fluid going to your brain. So the problem could be physical. And chiropractors, we are really good at dealing with the physical aspects of health. It could be chemicals that are causing your stress. Maybe you're drinking coffee, very stressful. You're eating meats, dairies, sodas, artificial sweeteners, very stressful. Raises your cortisol level, can't sleep. And cortisol also speeds up the aging process. So we got to get to that unstressed level. So many times patients tell me, and I've been doing this for a long time, we adjust them and they say, Doc, I feel so relaxed. Because the body has been wound up like a plane propeller, just wound up, ready to go. And once you start unwinding things and taking the stress off the nervous system, incredible things happen. Way more than just neck pain and back pain and sciatica. In fact, I would say that's only a fraction, a small fraction of what we do in our office, getting the nervous system working, the digestive system working, and the diet straightened out. Now, we adjust people on almost every visit, and they're happy because they feel good, but it's so much physiology is going on after an adjustment. Releases endorphins. Endorphins in the brain are 16 times more powerful than morphine, ounce for ounce. So you're getting not high from it. You're feeling really good from it. And that's why people love getting adjusted. So if you want to make an appointment, we'd love to see you. We have offices in the Atlanta area, Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb. drjoe.com, you can book an appointment. We can also do telehealth if you want to. So you can do that as well. If you're in-person visit, normally it's $912. We've reduced that to $299 for my listeners. That's an exam, x-rays, consultation, first treatment, going over the x-rays on your follow-up visit, and a complete nutrition evaluation. The x-rays alone are going to cost you more than that anywhere else. So you want to come see us as quickly as you can. Stop suffering needlessly. And folks, no matter where you are in the country, around the world, I know the shows all over the world, if you're ever in a car accident, if the car's damaged, you're damaged. And so if you're ever in a car accident, if you can, come see us as quickly as possible. Certainly go to a qualified doctor. There's so many scammers out there. You see all these lawyers advertising like crazy. Some of them are honest, some of them aren't. You might get a phone call. Hey, Bob, you're in a car accident. I want you to go see Dr. Joe and Lawyer Smith. That's a scam. No one's ever going to call you to tell you to go to a doctor. I've already had a patient come in and say, I got a phone call from somebody saying you called them and told them not for me to come back anymore, that I should go see this other doctor and this other lawyer. It's a scam. They get your information off the internet. They call you, and they will lie, cheat, and steal, not giving any regard to your health whatsoever. So I teach other doctors how to deal with car accidents. Many doctors, physical therapists, lawyers, orthopedists, neurologists, neurosurgeons. I teach them how to deal with car accidents. So if you're ever in a car accident, please come see us right away. drjoe.com. All right, let's keep talking about the belly fat. Couple of things you can do, action steps. I want you to hop on a scale. Weigh yourself at the same time every day. You can do it when you wake up in the morning, after you go to the bathroom, whatever it is. Weigh yourself at the same time every day, because then you're motivated. Wow, look at that. I lost a pound today. Oh, I gained a pound today. I got to be careful. Now, sometimes it's water weight. Sometimes it's just you didn't go to the bathroom, whatever it is. But if you monitor your weight, you're going to be much more motivated. And studies have shown that people that weigh themselves actually stick to eating healthy throughout the day because they're motivated. You got to drink water. Many times when you're hungry, you're not hungry, you're thirsty. The part of your brain, remember hypothalamus from what we talked about a while ago? Hypothalamus controls temperature, but also controls hunger and thirst. When you're an infant, the part of the brain that controls hunger and part of the brain that controls thirst are separated. As you become a toddler, those two parts of the brain grow together. So many times in your life, right now, when you're hungry, you're not hungry, you're thirsty. So I want you to do this. I want you to have at least one big glass or 2 glasses of water before every meal. Wait about 10 or 15 minutes. You will eat so much less food. There's your free master tip. You're going to eat so much less food if you have water beforehand. So think about that. That's kind of important. And try it and see what happens. I think you'll be very happy with it. If you work out before breakfast, that's a good idea if you like working out. They burn more of the body's fuel. We said fuel is burned, or fat's burned more in the morning than it is at night. Now, not saying you shouldn't work out at night, but I am saying if you have the opportunity to work in the morning, it's not really a bad idea. And if you do have a breakfast, what I usually say is fruit for breakfast, Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source, because I don't know why you're not starting your day with that. That's a gimme. I feel everyone benefits from Super Greens and Essential Source. If a child is old enough to eat solid food, they're old enough to have Super Greens and Essential Source. Now, if they're little, you might give them a half a dose. But, once they're preteen, teen, full dose is perfectly fine. And if you're having trouble, and some of you have trouble initially when you start eating fruit for breakfast, is you can add a vegan protein powder to it. Vegan, gluten-free, organic if you can. And that kind of holds you over. So just throw a scoop of a protein powder in with the Super Greens and Essential Source. You'll be amazed how much less food you eat, because it takes a lot of energy to burn up that food. And make a meal plan. If you're really good at this, you don't necessarily have to make a meal plan, but if you're not, make a meal plan. If you don't know what to eat, go to my website, drjoe.com, type these words in the search bar. So what can I eat? Listen to that lecture I did, and it breaks down breakfast, lunches, dinners, snacks, you're feeding kids, going away for holidays, Christmas, it's all there. So that's a great way to start learning what to eat and what not to eat. So you can do that as well. Getting outside is really important, because when you get outside, it can actually burn a little bit more belly fat. So try to get out as often as you can. It's good for vitamin D. It's good for your energy. It stimulates the pineal gland in the brain. So there's lots of things you can do. When you're eating servings, think about what a serving is. Because you might flip over a thing of ice cream and say, oh my gosh, it's only 80 calories per serving. Well, a serving might be 2 tablespoons. There's no guidelines on what's a serving. And so you can really say, oh, I can have a serving of this, and you eat a half a pint of ice cream thinking it's a serving, and that was 10 servings. So now it's 800 calories versus 80. So use spoons, use measuring cups, and look at the serving size. And you always got to ask yourself this question. Is it worth it? Is it worth eating the meal? Is it worth eating this food? If it's not, don't do it. Walk away. And that's one of the great things about Super Greens and Essential Source. One of the many, many, many benefits is it can help curb your appetite. Because when you're hungry, you're not hungry for food, you're hungry for nutrition. And Super Greens and Essential Source mixed together is a great source of nutrition. And it also has chlorella, which helps detoxify the fat out of your liver. Remember fatty organs? So lots of benefits to Super Greens and Essential Source. Again, it should just be your go-to everything, first thing in the morning, every supplement there. And then we customize other supplements for the patient. Generally speaking, if you have normal or high blood pressure, I take nitric oxide. Nitric oxide opens up your blood vessels, gives you energy, can help lower blood pressure, increase circulation to your happy parts, does all sorts of cool things. So that's something to consider as well. We can do a customized plan for you. We're happy to do that. But generally speaking, that's a good start right there. And think about, we said this earlier, think about what you're eating. Because if you're not mindful about what you're eating, you're just going to shove stuff down your throat. You're not going to get all the results you want. I want you to stay away from fruit juices, oranges, orange, pineapple, whatever, kiwi juice. Because when you eat the whole fruit, the fruit has fiber and other phytonutrients, and it pushes the food through the colon. You get a slow release of energy. Also, the fiber blocks up receptor sites so you don't absorb as much sugar. If you're drinking fruit juice, it's just like drinking straight high fructose corn syrup. Not as bad, but almost as bad. So do not drink fruit juices. Not a good idea under any circumstances. It's pure sugar. It's like drinking sugar water. So don't do that. And I know a lot of you enjoy your fancy coffees. Don't dress up your coffees. Don't drink coffee if you can. But if you're going to drink coffee, just try to drink it plain. Carry some sweetener with you, like stevia or something like that, in little packets. And then if you do go somewhere, you can just sweeten it yourself. You don't have to worry about that. Folks, I'm almost out of time. If you have any questions, go to my website, drjoe.com. Send me questions. I'm happy to answer your questions for you. If you want to make an appointment to come see us in the Atlanta area, Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb, drjoe.com. We'd love to see you. We can do telehealth if we need to for you. I'm happy to do that as well. You can call my office. We'll get that set up. All the supplements are on our website, drjoe.com. Follow us on social media at Dr. Joe Esposito. And our podcast is Dr. Joe for the Health of It. I'm Dr. Joe Esposito, drjoe.com. See you soon. Okay. What do you got?
So someone was wondering if Super Greens was a meal replacement.
Yes, it can be. Many people use it as a meal replacement. If it's not enough to hold you over, then you could just add a little vegan protein powder to it and make it, that'll help too. Many people just use it as a meal replacement though. The answer is yes. What else?
So what are your thoughts on collagen supplements?
I don't think you need them. Collagen, there's only 20 amino acids that we have in our existence. And carrots have them, and steak has them, and eggs have them, and broccoli has it, and tofu has it. Collagen is nothing more than just those few amino acids that make up collagen. So if you're eating a good diet and you have a healthy digestive system, you're breaking down all your proteins into those 20 amino acids, and then your body's utilizing them for different things. So there's no need for collagen supplements. Oftentimes the collagen supplement is made from animal parts, like ground up cartilage, and that's where the animals store things like lead, other toxic chemicals. It's stored in the bones and the cartilage. That's why I'm not a fan of bone broth. You're boiling lead out of the bone, out of the broth, out of the bone from the animal and into you. So no need for collagen supplements. If you're having digestive problems, take Dr. Joe's digestive enzymes and fix your stomach. Come see us to fix the stomach. And then eat more raw fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, and you won't need collagen supplements. What else?
The last question I have is from someone saying that sometimes they don't use the restroom for a long amount of time, and then when they finally do, it's blood in their stool.
Okay.
And they were wondering if they should get their stomach adjusted, if that would help, or what were other tips that you have?
You need to come see us for that because if you have blood in the stool, that can be very dangerous. That's not something I can just throw a willy-nilly answer out for you. We have something called Dr. Joe's intestinal formula. It's very good to keep the bowels moving. So if you start taking that and bowels start moving, that's a good sign. But you need to come see us because there's a stomach ileocecal valve. If you're bleeding from the rectum, that could be very, very serious. So let's see if we can get it fixed naturally. If not, we're going to have to get that checked by a medical doctor. But you don't want to play with that one. That's when you want to come see us like now. Go to the website, drjoe.com, and book an appointment now. Okay? Folks, we have something coming up. If you're listening live, of course. If you're listening live, put in hashtag live. If you're listening replay, put in hashtag replay. But if you listen to this before Monday, February 27th, which will, if you're listening live right now, it's going to be, a week from today. We're going to have a live free masterclass. It's going to be at the Concourse Athletic Club in Sandy Springs in Georgia. And it's going to be 7 o'clock. It's absolutely free. If you can't attend live, we're going to have it on Zoom. So everyone should attend this. If you have headaches, neck pain, digestive issues, it's going to be 2 hours of nonstop, rapid-fire health tips. And so you send me an email through the website, drjoe.com. Just send me a message, put masterclass in it, and I will have my staff send you an invitation. You can't come unless you're invited, but if you send me an email, I will invite you. And you can come live or you can come on Zoom. Either way is fine with me. So if you want to do that, just send me something through the website. Masterclass, I'm happy to go ahead and put your name on the list. So, other than that, folks, I appreciate you guys very much. I will see you next week, and hopefully I'll see you at the masterclass too. Tell your friends.